Hi, I'm Kenzie Murdoch, and I'm a linebacker for Shadow Ridge High School in Nevada, class of 21, and you're listening to the Playmakers Corner podcast.
Hey, y'all, welcome back to the Playmakers Corner podcast. I'm your host, Kodey Stoffer, and I'm joined here by my other co-host, Simon, as well as a very special guest. If you would like to introduce yourself, your name, what position you play, and where you're from.
Hi, I'm Kenzie Murdoch. This past season, I played center and linebacker. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada, and I play for Shadow Ridge High School.
Awesome. And so, Kenzie, once again, thank you for joining us. And something that we like to do every time we have a guest on is kind of get to know you and your relationship with sports, right? So we start off by asking, what is your favorite sport memory or experience while playing a sport? And this could be football or any other sport, and it could be like a play, a game, or a season, whatever. Just like you think of sports and it just makes you smile.
I think I have two different ones. One is just basically just flag football practice. Just every practice was so much fun. The girls that play flag football are always so much fun. I always look forward to practice every day. But that's pretty general. My specific favorite memory, though, is when I was playing football, like tackle football. They had kind of just put me in as kicker because they're like, oh, you're a girl, go kick. And I wasn't that good at it. I had to practice really hard. And finally in a game, I got put in and I made it. And it was just a really cool moment because I finally could make the field goals and stuff.
Nice. We love that, working up and finally getting to see that hard work pay off. So, and you're the first player to bring up practice, and I appreciate that too, because I always, think about the games, and so do a lot of other athletes. But practice, there are some good moments in practice. So, and then assuming that you're just a sports fan in general, what's your favorite sports viewing experience? This could be a live game that you went and saw when live games were a thing. Or, like watching a game on TV, like something specific that just resonated with you.
So I am a big sports fan, and I follow a lot of different teams. But my favorite is women's basketball. I'm a huge WNBA fan, and I love college women's basketball. This past season, the WNBA All-Star game was in Las Vegas, so I got to go see it. And it was just so much fun. Like Brittany Griner dunked and Liz Cambage dunked. And it was just really cool to see all the women that I look up to because I love WNBA. Just see them all play. So that was a really cool game to go see.
That's awesome. I totally forgot that was in Vegas. So you're like, it's in your backyard at that point, right?
Yeah, and I love that we have our own home team, so I get to go see games a lot of the time. And I really, really like our home team, the Aces.
Yeah, the Aces. Yeah, excited to see those new unis this year. Did you see those jerseys that they rolled out?
Yes,
yeah.
I love them. I also love that, like, because I'm a women's basketball fan, I'm also kind of an advocate for boosting women's sports. And I think the cool thing about the new jerseys is, it actually has, like, a logo and a number on the front, not just, like, a huge sponsorship. Mm-hmm. And I think with these new jerseys, because they're actually like advancing, hey, these women deserve actual jerseys, not just a giant sponsorship, that it'll also maybe boost viewership and it'll make the sport bigger. So I really like the jerseys for more than just how they look. I think it'd be really good for the sport as well.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but you're absolutely right. So, and then kind of the last of talking about sports in general is there like, and you might have even already talked about it, but is there a specific like moment where you fell in love with football or like really like knew like, all right, like football, this is it. This is what I want to do?
I've been a huge football fan ever since I was little. I grew up watching the Patriots. And of course, flag football, I was into it. But when I started tackle football, it was really scary at first, just like being the girl on the team. Oh my gosh, it's a girl. And it was kind of scary having to face the coaches and stuff like that. But as soon as I got a good relationship with the coaches and I made my first tackle, I was like, you know what, I'm sold. This is it. I love this sport. I'm never playing any other sport. So as soon as I actually like found my identity when it came to football and I was like, okay, wait, I can actually play this sport, then I fell in love with it.
Awesome. I love to hear that. And I'll let the Patriots fan slide. You're the second Patriots fan that we've had as far as flag football athletes. So, I'm a Broncos fan. Simon's a Steelers fan. We're used to a lot of pain at the hands of the Patriots, but the rest of the interview should go without a hitch. I'll pass it over to Simon to talk more about your game and kind of our evaluation of it.
All right. Thank you, Kodey.
Yeah. Hey, don't throw around that Steelers fan label too much. I'm not sure about that quite yet, but we'll see. And then just so you know, Kenzie, Devin Silvestri, she's a quarterback. She was in your breakdown, or well, in your episode, I want to say. Over in Florida, she's a huge Tom Brady Patriots fan. So just throwing that out there. All right.
Nice.
But speaking of your episode, what was your reaction to our evaluation of your game, whether it's good or bad?
I thought it was really cool. I thought it was really cool just to be featured in general. I was very, very surprised, and it was honestly really cool to wake up to that. I just woke up and I was like, oh my gosh, there's a podcast about me. And I gave it a listen, and my parents gave it a listen, and I absolutely loved it. And everything that you said was true. I guess my only things were you guys told me to get in on offense more. And I actually do start on offense, but it's just I don't have like stats and stuff like that because I play center. So I do start on both sides of the ball. And second thing, I don't know how I have film out there or anything. I don't even think I have a profile, but my GPA is a 5.16. I know you guys wanted to know that. So those are just the two things I wanted to add.
Look at Kodey. This is an audio medium, so unless you're watching this on YouTube, you can't see Kodey going crazy. But that's actually pretty insane.
That's the highest GPA I've ever heard in my life.
That's probably the highest on this show, period.
The highest Playmaker GPA is Kenzie Murdoch.
Yeah,
I didn't want to flex.
But you had to.
Yeah, that's true. You had to. Okay. I like that. That's actually really reassuring to hear. So just to clear that up, we found a lot of your film actually on Huddle, most of it. So that's how we were able to look through that, and then some clips here and there just floating around and whatnot. And kind of a fun fact here, you were actually the first I would say girl football player that we were able to find, because earlier on, well, actually just in general, when we started this podcast, we always knew we wanted to spotlight athletes no matter what, and getting into girls football and all that was a big deal, and so we felt like March, April would be a perfect time to do that. And so when we typed just girls flag football players, your name actually came up. It was like one of the first ones, along with a couple others. I believe it was, I don't know, it was some Nevada, Las Vegas like newspaper or something like that, and then that's kind of what we went off of. So you were our first one. So just a fun fact there. But going on about your game though, yeah, of course. But going on about your game though, who do you model your game after? Are there like some players out there that you really look at, or even some role models on your own team maybe, or in the past that you've looked at and been like, yeah, I want to be that kind of player?
I would definitely say, so my sophomore year, I got pulled up to varsity, and that year I made a lot of friends on the team. That was probably my favorite year so far. And when I had got pulled up, I met my best friend. Her name is Bobby, and Bobby's a rugby player. She went to college for rugby and everything. And so she played flag football just to kind of keep herself in shape and just for fun. But this girl was buff. Like, she was strong and she was fast. And she always had fun with what she was doing. So I would say I model my game after Bobby, because she was a beast on the field. She always worked out after practice, worked out before practice, was always doing the most. But she still was the most funniest person on the team, always found a way to make everything fun. Make pregame fun. She was just the most fun girl I've ever played with. So I want to model myself after her, not only because she's really strong on the field and she's a great player, just because she makes everything fun. And I want to be able to do that for every team I play for.
For sure. And that's leadership, so that's really cool to hear. So kind of talking about your game a little bit more here, but in your opinion, what are 2 to 3 qualities that really separate you from, other players in the state or even the country?
I think one of the things I pride myself on, and I learned this both in flag football and in real football, is just being able to read the play as it's happening. I may not be the fastest girl or the most athletic girl, but I can definitely see the play unravel before it does. And I really like that I can, as a linebacker, be able to fill those gaps as fast as I need to, as quickly as I need to, just because I can read the play right away. So that's probably the best quality I would pride myself on.
for sure. And, that was pretty apparent in your film. It looked a lot like you knew what you were doing out there, and, you kind of had that sixth sense almost. And that's something that, a lot of football players tend to kind of lack on, that mental aspect of the game. So that's really cool to hear. All right. So, yeah, of course. So speaking of your game here, we're going to kind of talk about your high school career a little bit more over at Shadow Ridge. Go ahead, Kodey. And Kodey will do that part.
Yeah, so, just looking through Shadow Ridge as a program, it's seen a lot of success over the past few years, consistent winning records. Sometimes y'all would blow teams out like 55-6 or something. I was just like, they're already dead. But, I just want to kind of get your inside take on what your football experience was like over at Shadow Ridge High School. And I guess, what are some things that make Shadow Ridge such a successful flag football program?
As far as the flag football experience goes, I have to hand it all to Coach Niswonger. He's our head coach, and he just does everything for us. Like, he did my whole recruitment process for me. Every year, he's just so incredibly dedicated to us. Like, every hour he has, he dedicates to us. And another cool thing about him is that, like, even during COVID and stuff like that, we weren't allowed to play. We weren't allowed to have a school sport. So he, by himself, created a whole entire separate league, a whole entire separate team, like, basically carried all this on his shoulders to make sure that we have a season even through COVID. And so, as a coach, he's the most dedicated coach I've ever seen. He absolutely helps us so much. And as far as playing goes, we've just had some rock stars on our teams. Like, my quarterback, Michaela Brown, she's a softball player, and she can sling that football farther than I've seen anybody sling a football. Like, she is an amazing quarterback. My freshman year, we had a running back. Her name was Jordan, and she's the fastest girl I've ever seen in my life. Like, she was a track star, everything like that. So it's cool. The cool thing about flag football is that before this point, it wasn't a college sport. So nobody, or a few people, but most of the girls came from other sports and played flag football just for fun or to keep themselves fit. So we have softball players, track stars, just all these other girls from other sports coming together and playing on one team. And so we, like I said, we have softball players that can throw the ball really far and track stars who can run really fast. And I think that's the cool thing about our team specifically, is that we can mesh all those sports together and create a really good team with a really good coach.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard to not find success when you have great athletes and great coaching, I mean, that's really what it starts with. If you don't have that, then you don't really have too much else going for you. So that makes a lot of sense. And, you bring up a great point. I mean, I think it was just last year that the NFL donated to, I think it was 15 different programs on the NAIA level to kind of, jumpstart being able to give flag football scholarships out and stuff like that. And, you kind of talked about your coach helping out with your recruitment a lot too. And I just want to kind of ask, what is your recruitment story? How was, how did your coach help you kind of talk to schools? And I mean, what did that look like?
So originally I wasn't planning on being a flag football player in college, not to flex or anything, but because of my GPA and stuff, I was planning on going to a big fancy college, and because I have a pretty good resume as far as going to college, so I was shooting big. I wanted UCLA, University of Florida. I was shooting Ivies. I really wanted to go to a giant school. And so when I heard that flag football was a sport, but they were really tiny schools, at first I wasn't really thrilled with that, just because of my original goals. But then Coach Maddie, the Cottey coach, actually flew down to one of our practices, and I got to meet her. And I just thought that she was the coolest girl ever. I loved her. And she started talking to me about scholarships and everything like that. And I started thinking to myself, why go to this big giant school and pay $40,000 a year when I can go play the sport I love and not have to pay for school at all? So I started thinking to myself and everything. And that's when it convinced me, okay, maybe I should be a flag football athlete. And I didn't really talk to other schools except for Cottey, just because I wasn't really planning on it. But Cottey really recruited me hard, and they convinced me to come over to their school. So my recruitment process was relatively easy. I really didn't do anything. My coach and their coach communicated with each other, and then all I really had to do was commit. So compared to other recruitment processes, mine was very, very simple. But I'm very, very grateful for the opportunity, especially because the school that chose me, they're giving me a full ride through the school, and it's also owned by a PEO. that's a philanthropy organization dedicated to sending women to college. They're also giving me separate scholarships. So I'm getting like, I think it's $8,000 a year separate from my full ride already. So I'm pretty much making money at this point. And, you know, why go waste all that money at UCLA when I can make money playing the sport I love? So yeah, my recruitment process was very, very simple, but it just kind of fell into my lap.
Hey, well, kudos to Cottey for having their eyes out, you know, and getting an elite talent in you. And I mean, if a school is going to try that hard and come knocking and no one else is flying out to practice, then I think that does make the, you know, commitment to Cottey, because Cottey's committed to you, right? So like that's a huge part of it as well. And I think that's a very interesting journey that we haven't really seen, you know. I mean, you do have a point with a 5.16 GPA, you could go to like literally anywhere. So I think that's, you know, I really like that recruitment story and I love it for you, you know, and just like what that means for the sport of flag football. You know, Cottey's very lucky, and so is the sport in general, that you ended up playing flag football at that next level. And I guess, what are some things that are actually, I'm going to stop myself and pass it back to Simon before I hog the rest of the questions. But I really like that recruitment story.
Thank you.
All right. So, you know, speaking of college, right now you're finishing up your last semester over there at Shadow Ridge. You haven't graduated early, have you?
No, I haven't.
Okay, I gotcha. Just asking. I thought I'd ask anyways, but so with that being said,
sorry.
No, you're good.
I had the opportunity to graduate early, but you have to decide that the year before, and I had no idea that COVID was going to happen. Had I known that we wouldn't actually be going to school, I would have graduated early, but, you know, I wanted the senior experience, and I wanted this, and I wanted that. That didn't really end up working out, but it's okay.
I gotcha. All right, well, now that we're on that, I guess, subject here, so are y'all in person yet, or are y'all still all online?
So the second week of March, it came out that we could actually go back to school. And what that consists of is you can either choose to go back to school, kinda, or stay at home full time. And the kids that did choose to go back, you go back 2 days a week for half days. So you basically go to 2 periods in school, then you go home for the other 2. And then the next day you go 2 periods in school, 2 different periods, and then go home for the other 2. And then the 3 days of the week left, you are at home. So we're in school kind of, but not really because we barely go. But at least it's in the building. Like, I really thought that for my senior year, I wouldn't end up in the building at all. But we did, which is good. We're probably not going to have prom. We just found out that we're going to have a graduation, which is cool because we didn't think we were going to have that either. So things are starting to open back up, but it's very, very strict. Like, it's one-way hallways. You can't sit next to anybody. The class sizes are like 4 people. So we technically are back, but it's not very school-like, I guess.
I gotcha. Okay. That's interesting. I'm actually a teacher here in Colorado, so I kind of understand that grind, but we're back at 100% with everything going on. Kinda. You know how it is, but yeah. So, all right then. I figured I'd just ask, but well, with that being said, you know, your senior year is wrapping up and all that stuff. You're about to go to college this year, which is super exciting. But, you know, what are some goals that you have for college ball, whether it's academically or on the field?
Academically, for sure, I want to be the top of my class, just because that was my goal all throughout high school, and I made it. Like, I'm top 10 of my class, which is really awesome. But I want to keep that going for college. I'm going to be a biology major, which is going to be really difficult, but I still want to be top of my class. And as far as flag football goes, I don't have any broad goals as of yet, just because I don't really know what it's going to look like yet. But for myself, I just want to make sure I'm getting stronger. With COVID and everything, I did not work out as much as I should have because I was so used to being on teams my whole life, and I always worked out with the team and had a weightlifting coach yelling at me. And it's a lot easier to work out when you have that team aspect. But over COVID, I really found it hard to motivate myself to keep working. So I guess my goal is just to get back into that and get back into strength training and weightlifting and everything like that, and making sure I'm going to college strong. And once I'm at college, being the best athlete I can be. I want to be the best person on the team whenever I can. I want to be the top of whatever I'm doing. So I definitely want to get there and make my coach happy that she recruited me, make sure that she is proud of her recruitment.
Absolutely. And, I feel like they got a good one, someone who takes care of it on the field and off the field. And that's music to every coach's ears, wherever. There's some players that need to have a little bit more of an attitude like you, Kenzie. So just throwing that out there.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. So, we're kind of wrapping up this interview here, but before we end the interview and all that stuff, is there anybody in particular, that you'd like to mention or shout out who has been important to your academic or athletic career who you'd like to thank on the show? And this could be like friends, family, coaches, even some players like you've mentioned before.
Absolutely. I want to thank my coach just because, like I mentioned before, he basically did the whole recruitment process for me. And he set up the whole entire COVID season, and he set up the newspaper interview, and he has really, really helped me out with this just because, like I said, I really wasn't expecting all of this, but he really jump-started it. He was full gas pedal all the way. So I definitely really appreciate my coach. I definitely appreciate my parents, of course, for pushing me to be the straight A student and everything like that. It definitely helped in the long run. Obviously, I'd like to thank Coach Maddie for recruiting me, because without her, who knows where I'd be. But this is the most perfect situation I could have asked for, and credits to her for recruiting me and getting me to this school. I have a million people I'd like to thank, but my girlfriend would be mad probably if I didn't shout her out. So Hailey, shout out to you. And just all my teammates. Flag football is so much fun. And the thing about flag football is nobody was really expecting it to be a college sport. So it was just for fun. And a lot of my teammates are going to be my best friends for years and years down the road just because I love them so much. And they really made every single practice fun and every single game fun. And I'm so excited to meet my future teammates because they all look so much fun as well. So I'm going to wrap up my shout outs now. There we go.
All right. All good things there. So before we end this thing, well, real quick, I got a quick story here. So I am, like I said, I'm a teacher. I'm specifically a PE teacher here in Falcon, Colorado. I teach middle school, and I also coach football and basketball. And, I just wanted to tell you that I got 2 6th grade girls here who, I showed your film and all that, showed you and some of these other gals out here, and they loved what they saw. And so they will be joining the boys flag football team this spring, actually in a couple weeks here. So, just wanted to let you know that, just let you know that, there are a lot of kiddos looking up to you, and you're one of the good ones out there for sure. I'm not going to mention their names because of privacy stuff, but, just wanted to throw that out there. So there you go. But with that being said, though, yeah, for sure. I thought it was pretty cool. And there's some studs too. We got a little cornerback and a quarterback. So 2 girls that can play both sides of the ball for sure. But with that being said, though, do you have any advice for upcoming middle schoolers like them, or high schoolers or aspiring football players at all?
Absolutely. I think my number one piece of advice whenever anybody asks me is have fun. I know that's so cliche, but if you find the sport that you love to play and you look forward to practice every day and you look forward to the game just because you have fun, that's a sport that you're going to excel at just because you naturally love it. And if you force yourself to play a sport and you don't look forward to practice and you don't look forward to the games and you don't like your teammates, you're not going to be good at it. So if you just find the sport that you're always laughing at practice, you can't wait for the game, everything like that, you're going to be good at that sport. So find the sport that you love and you have fun with. So yeah, just have fun, bottom line.
Perfect. And that's really good advice. So there you go. All right. So, Kenzie, thank you so much for coming on to the show and whatnot. We really hope that we could catch one of your games over there while you're in college and whatnot. We'd love to do a little trip over there and watch it. But thank you so much for coming on to the show and, everything you do.
Thank you guys so much for having me. I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. All right. So, that'll wrap up this interview of the Playmakers Corner podcast. Make sure to show us some love on social media. That's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok as well. And then, go ahead and subscribe to us on YouTube. We'll be posting videos of interviews, film breakdowns, and more coming up. And, if you're listening to us on any streaming platform, which I assume you are, go ahead and give us a good rating. But thank you so much, and peace.
Hi, my name is Hailey Stanton. I'm a quarterback at Northeast High School in St. Petersburg, Florida. I'm a senior, and you're listening to Playmakers Corner.
Hey, y'all. Welcome back to the Playmakers Corner podcast. I'm your host, Kodey Stoffer, and I'm joined by my other co-host, Simon Villanos. And today we have a very special guest. If you would like to introduce yourself, what school you play for, where you're from, and what position you play.
Hi, my name is Hailey, and I play quarterback for a team at Northeast High School in St. Petersburg, Florida.
Awesome, and thank you so much for coming on to the show, Hailey. Hailey is a great talent, and if you haven't listened to our Queen Playmakers episode, go listen to that for Hailey's full breakdown on just how much of a playmaker she is. But kind of just getting to know you and chop it up a little bit about sports, I gotta ask, what is your favorite sports experience or memory while playing sports? This could be a specific play, a specific season, or a specific game that you're just like, oh yeah, like this is why I play.
So in 2019, we played Osceola in our district championships. And previously in that season, we actually lost to them. So this was kind of like a rematch type of game. And let me tell you, the first half, I was doing horrible. I had so many interceptions. But the second half, I really turned it around. And I made a touchdown myself, like the winning touchdown, I believe. And the team was just cheering me on. And that really opened my eyes like, dang, this sport is definitely it. It was great. So I love that memory.
Hey, that sounds like a good one. You have that comeback, kind of win that bounce back, halftime. It's a heck of a time to just reset and, show that mental toughness that you had. So that's an awesome memory for sure.
I actually cried during the halftime. It was crazy.
Hey, it was a release, you got to do what you got to do to flush out the first half. So yeah. Game recognizes game. And then, assuming that you're a sport fan in general, what's your favorite sport viewing experience? This could be a live game that you saw or game that you saw on TV that you're just super amped about.
So does it have to be football or can it be another sport?
Any sport.
Well, I'm also a cheerleader, and so I actually went to the ESPN Wildwater Sports for the college national competition. I went there 3 consecutive years in a row, and let me tell you, every time I'm amazed by the talent that is there. And they also have mascot competitions where they bring props and everything, and it's a real experience for sure.
That's awesome. Jeez, all over the place and getting things done and living life to the fullest. So
you have to.
So I guess you already kind of talked about that game in 2019. Is there a specific memory or event that got you into football, that sparked the beginning interest or curiosity?
Well, so I started off with cheer, and I kind of grew up like a tomboy-ish thing, but my parents would never let me play football. Because I'm a daddy's girl, so if I get tackled, it's over. So I always used to cheer on the sideline, and it's kind of boring on the sideline. So football, you have a lot of running, passing, throwing, and I was like, dang, I want to be a part of that. But that was never I never had the opportunity. But in 8th grade, I heard about this flag football. I was like, oh yeah, I'm definitely doing that. So that's what kind of got me into it, for sure.
Nice. I'm glad that, you got that opportunity and, excited to see how well it turned out and, hopefully we'll stay tuned to where it goes. But I'll pass it over to Simon to kind of chop it up about your game specifically.
Yeah. So once again, Hailey, thank you for coming on to the show and whatnot. We really appreciate that. You're a heck of a player. And, speaking of that, let's go ahead and talk about some football here. Talk about your game. So right off the bat, I assume that you're able to listen to our breakdown of your game and whatnot. But, what was your reaction initially to our evaluation of your game, whether it's good or bad?
I was actually really shocked to be a part of that, because it's just I'm kind of in a small town, so to hear that I'm like getting the exposure, it had me shocked. But I love the breakdown. I took a lot of that to mind. You know how you said I throw off my back foot a lot, so I really made the conscious effort to throw more on my front foot and put my power into it. So in the highlights, hopefully that'll show. So, and I really love the breakdown. I listened to it many times. So
Hey, I appreciate that. We appreciate all of that support and whatnot. But for sure, that's a good thing that you took that and tried to apply some of that for sure. Obviously you had a lot of success actually this last senior year, and we'll talk about that actually in a minute here later in this interview. But with that being said, kind of sticking to your game and talking about some things that you do really well. But what are 2 to 3 qualities, in your opinion, that separate you from other players in the state or even the country as a quarterback?
So I feel like I have really good leadership skills. I've always been told that, even though I have like doubts about it. I've always been told that. But now that I look more on it, I'm kind of like the person to like step aside and make sure to do the right thing the right way, to listen and to really get the drill or whatever we're doing down before I can try. And like, I watch the person in front of me, so I feel like that definitely sets me apart. So I do make sure I do the drill right the first time. And yeah, I feel like that definitely sets me aside and everyone follows after. So I guess that's the leadership skill. And the second one, I'm not sure. So
that's all good. Well, I'll give you a second one right here. You have a heck of an arm. We'll tell you straight up. Yeah, of course. When you do set your feet and throw and whatnot, like, shoot, it's a rocket on that thing, and it's crazy to see, and it looks super natural and whatnot. There's some guys who have, kind of interesting throwing motions for sure. But yours, when you really get it down, it's super smooth, and you could really stretch out defenses and be a problem out there. So just wanted to throw that out there, because you are a heck of a quarterback for sure. But love to hear the leadership stuff for sure. That's never a bad thing to hear,
Right, for sure.
So, but with that being said, let's kind of talk about, your time over at Northeast here and kind of the success that you had there in these last couple of seasons, and then this past season. So, Kodey, you could go ahead and take it away with that.
Yeah, cool. So, Northeast High, we looked through, max preps and records and this and that, and it's been a very successful program. And I guess what has your personal story or experience been over there at Northeast High, and why do you think they are such a successful flag football program?
Because at practice, we put in that work. we are very like focused, and we try to get things done. And I feel like our coach is a big part of that. He expects a lot of us out of that. And so I feel like that's how we're successful. Our coach, he's pretty harsh on us, but we get things done. So I feel like that has a very big part to do with it, for sure.
Yeah, running a tight ship and staying focused. Focus is, what separates the winners from the losers. No offense, but to anybody who's not focused. But you could see the focus in your program success for sure. And this past season, I believe the final record was 10-2 or something like that, including the regular season. You had only 1 loss, and you really put it to some of these teams. You opened up the season 38-0, 53-12. Then you had a tight game, a couple of tight games actually. So you guys won in every single way this year, from blowouts to nail biters to, last second to, everything overtime, everything in between. You guys found ways to win. And I guess, what are some things that helped y'all be successful this year, and what was your mentality heading into this season?
Something that really helped us was definitely our teamwork. Like, we can't get things done if we don't work together as a team. So we definitely had to make good passes, catch the balls, move our hips just to get down the field. And we all had to work together, cheer each other on, make sure we were doing it right and not just going and doing the motions. So I feel like that was a very vital part. Make sure we have a first quarter game. Don't start slow. Those were all things that we had to keep like pushing on so we could start good, finish strong type thing.
Yeah, not taking your foot off the gas, pedal to the metal the whole time, and just doing everything right.
Yep, our motto is actually all gas, no brakes.
I love that. Yep. All gas, no brakes. That's a great mentality and a great motto, honestly. So
definitely.
And kind of transitioning, I believe your guys' last game in the district playoffs was against Osceola. Is that how you say that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I know that the season didn't exactly end the way you wanted to, but if you want to kind of take us through that game and kind of what your mindset was going through that game. You beat them a little bit earlier in the season. Very close game that first time. I think it was 6-0 or something like that. So very close game. What was your mentality going into the game? And I guess kind of just take us through that game.
So with this game, we always just focus the team that we have at the time. So we're just trying to do our best, try to keep peaking throughout the season. And so we're just focused in the warm-ups. We get to the game. We had a pretty decent start. We didn't score in the first quarter, but the second quarter we made it in there. It's just us and Osceola both played good games. We're both playing really good, but they just came out with the win. So you win some, you lose some. So
hey, that's a great mentality, kind of that on to the next one thing. And, I can hear the respect that you have for this team. It sounds like you guys kind of have at least a competitive rivalry of sorts, but at the end of the day, it sounds like you guys have a lot of respect for each other's games.
Yep.
So I guess how does this last game kind of fuel your motivation moving forward?
I just can't wait to play ball at the next level. So I got to take everything I learned and just keep soaking up more things that these next coaches can teach me. And that gives me motivation so I could put on for the city. Because there's many girls in the city that want to play flag football. So if you actually want to, you could actually do it now. It's actually possible to play and get paid. You pay your scholarship, pay your college to play. So it's awesome.
Yeah, that's monumental. And, I love to hear that you're excited to be a trendsetter, and be a trailblazer for sure. And, I know Simon and I talked about that on the episode, that as far as outlook goes, that you really have a chance to be that generational talent and that model to other girls who want to play football. And, it's not just in the high school level, it's at the middle school and even elementary school level. So I'm glad to hear that, you're ready for it. And that kind of takes me to my next question about how's recruitment going? What is your recruitment story? And I guess how is talking to schools? Have you been able to do visits through COVID, or I guess just kind of walk us through what that's going like?
So first it was emails and Twitter and through all the media. And I was really excited about that. And then they had the showcase, and where most of the college coaches were there, and they're all super nice. When I tell you really, really nice, they're all great. So nice to me and talk to. They're really awesome. I got to shout out to them because they want to lead you the right way. They want you to do it right. So that's pretty awesome. And yes, we do get to do visits. I visited St. Thomas, and that was pretty awesome. And I watched the game too. That was a great experience. And not this weekend, but the next weekend, I'm touring Midland, Kansas Westland, and St. Mary. So I'm excited for that, flying up. And it hasn't been a very difficult process. You apply online. The process was super easy throughout the whole thing. So that's a blessing for sure, with all the senior stuff going on too. So it's definitely easy.
Yeah, I was about to say, it sounds like you're keeping yourself busy, and obviously you're a highly coveted prospect for a variety of reasons, being such a great ball player. I guess you kind of just talked about some schools that you'll be visiting, and I don't want to pry or spoil anything, but are there any leading candidates in your commitment right now?
I'm not gonna say too much.
No, I got you. That's fair. That's fair. But we will be, keeping our ear to the ground and a close eye on it. And we're very excited for, obviously, I think that no matter where you go, that, it's going to work out for you and you're going to make the best of the opportunity just because of the person and the player that you are. But I'm going to pass it over to Simon and he's going to talk, kind of less specific, but, more broad future kind of stuff. So.
Okay.
Yep. All right, then. So we got to say right here, right now, whenever you do commit, we're going to be posting it everywhere and all that because that's going to be big time. And, that'll be exciting for sure. But, with that being yeah, for sure. With that being said, I just wanted to ask you, what are some things that you are looking for in a program? I know the NFL kind of helped jumpstart about 15 different programs on that NAIA level. You already mentioned a couple colleges here, but really, moving forward, do you have like a list of things that, you'd kind of like to have in your school and whatnot that you do eventually end up choosing?
Yeah, so I stayed in Florida all of my life. I'm tired of it. So I'm not really looking into a school in Florida if I'm being honest. And my second thing is I don't really want to go to a more developed program. Honestly, it's not so much of the competition part because I don't mind fighting for my spot, but I'd rather go to a program, develop them and make them better. Like that's just my mentality. That's what I prefer. So I'm not really looking to go to a more developed program. I'd rather go and build a really great program. So that's pretty much what I'm looking into.
That's interesting. That's actually really interesting. And I totally get that. You want to be able to write your own story and whatnot as well. And, really make your mark too in the best way possible. So that's interesting things to hear out there. But with that being said, kind of moving forward, you mentioned some college ball stuff here and there. But, what are some goals that you have for college ball?
That one I'm not quite sure about. But I would definitely like to have a good record, like more wins than losses, of course. And just to have overall good teamwork, good character for the team. Like I don't want to have a lousy team that's quiet on the sideline. I'd rather have a team that's very uplifting and screaming for your team that's on there because the team is only as good as the weakest link. So we got to work together.
Yeah, no, for sure. So high energy. That's kind of what you're trying to do there.
For sure. Definitely.
All right, then, for sure. You got to be about that hype, I get that for sure. So with that being said, we're kind of wrapping up, this interview here. So this is kind of your chance to give shout outs to people who have helped you out in your academic or athletic career, people you like to thank. And this could be like friends, family, coaches, and teammates as well. And, honestly, take as long as you need to or as short as you need to. It's up to you.
Okay. So definitely I would like to start off with my parents because they're my biggest support system. With them, I would be nothing, jack diddly squat. So they're definitely my biggest support system. They help have other people support me. So I want to shout out my apartment complex. Actually, they're the best people ever. We're like a huge family over there. I couldn't ask for nothing better. I would like to thank all of my other coaches, Coach Jesse, Coach Xavier, my Roberts team, my Roberts middle school girls, because I do coach. I coach for a middle school flag football team. Yep, so I would definitely want to shout them out. Coach Jesse, definitely for sure. He helped me through a lot. And, yeah, all my cheerleading coaches, you can get a shout out to, and definitely all my family, my grandmas, my cousins. And, yeah, I think that's about it.
Sweet, that's awesome, and honestly, that's really cool to hear that you are, giving back as well to the game and coaching. That's super awesome to hear, for sure.
A better player, because then I get to watch and see all the things that I could have did. I was like, oh,
yeah.
I get to learn from teaching. It's really awesome experience.
Yeah, no, for sure. So, if I may ask, how long have you been coaching over there?
Well, I'm in a recreation league, so every time I'm there, I coach the younger girls too to make sure they're doing better routes or throwing good because we have the middle school quarterback as well. So I always try to help her. So I've been doing the recreation league since I was in 8th grade, and I'm a senior now, so pretty long time. And I coach at cheerleading too, teach them how to flip, tight motion, jumps, yep, all that.
All right, then we got a little coach over here. That's what's up. So, sorry, I'm getting on like a whole tangent here. I know I said we were going to wrap this up here,
Oh,
but
it's all good.
but what about coaching? Have you been thinking about that in your future? Is that something that you might think of doing soon here, or sometime in the future whenever you're all done?
I would definitely be interested in coaching for sure, because like I said, you get to learn from your students, so you can't beat it. I would definitely be. Yeah.
No, for sure. I mean, I totally understand that, for sure, for sure. All right, then. So, we are wrapping up here. We have one more question here, but before I get into that, I do kind of have a quick story here. So I do actually, I teach over here in Colorado. I also coach as well and whatnot. So I do some coaching for sure. And I have 2 or 3 6th grade middle school girls who listen to the episode. And I told Kenzie Murdoch this because we interviewed her last week, but they loved the episode. They loved seeing some of the highlights y'all did, and so they'll be playing here with the boys here this week. I think we get started this week with some football stuff. So just wanted to throw that out there. But with that being said, do you have any advice for upcoming middle school, high school, or aspiring football players?
Just always work your hardest, try to help others, and that's about it.
Hey, that's as good as any. That's real good advice for sure. So we appreciate that,
For sure.
All right, Hailey, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast. We hope to do more breakdowns of you, whenever you're at college and whatnot, and hopefully, get to chop it up again. It's been an absolute pleasure. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Hey, anytime. So that'll wrap up this interview of the Playmakers Corner podcast. Remember, you can listen to us on a number of different streaming platforms like Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and if you're there, you might as well give us a good rating. We really appreciate that. And then, show us some love on social media. That's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Twitter. And then also keep in mind, we will be posting more of these interviews and breakdowns on our YouTube channel, so go ahead and subscribe to that. And you know what? Thank you for rocking with us, and we'll catch you later.
Toodles!
Love it.